Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into a framework that has totally changed the game for web developers, ASP.NET Core. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting your feet wet, this is a piece of tech you really have to know about. That's the big question, isn't it? As a developer or a team lead, you're constantly swimming in options. You need something fast, you need something flexible, and you definitely need something that isn't going to trap you in old, outdated ways of doing things. Well, that's the exact problem ASP.NET Core was built from the ground up to solve. So let's get right to it. What even is ASP.NET Core? Before we can talk about why it's so popular, we've got to get on the same page about what it is at its very foundation. Okay, this definition is jam-packed, so let's break it down real quick. Cross-platform means you're finally free from that Windows-only box. High performance, and trust me, we're going to see just how high in a minute. And open source, which is huge because it means it's backed by a massive global community that's making it better every single day. Now, this is super important to get. This is not just another version update. It's a total redesign from the ground up. See, in the old days, you had one tool for building your web pages and a totally separate one for building your backend APIs. ASP.NET Core just threw all that out and unified them into one clean, simple model. And that makes life so much easier. All right, so we know what it is. Now for the good stuff. Why are developers all over the world jumping on this? Well, it pretty much boils down to two massive, in-your-face advantages. Just raw, incredible speed and total freedom. And listen, when we talk about performance, we are not kidding around. Independent tests consistently show ASP.NET Core is one of the absolute fastest web frameworks out there, often blowing past competitors like Node.js. We're talking millions of requests per second on pretty standard hardware. If you're building an app that needs to scale, that kind of power is a complete game changer. This slide just says it all, doesn't it? The old way really felt like you were in a cage. If you were an ASP.NET dev, you were a Windows dev, period. But now, that cage is just gone. You can code on your Mac, your buddy can be on a Linux machine, and you can deploy the whole thing to any cloud server you want. For modern teams, that flexibility is everything. So, okay, it's crazy fast and super flexible. Awesome. But what's it like to actually write code with it, day in and day out? How does it actually make your life easier as a developer? Well, that's where its slick, modern toolkit comes into play. So we already mentioned that unified ecosystem, one framework for your user interface and your APIs. But the other monster feature here is built-in dependency injection. Now I know that sounds kind of nerdy and complex, but its purpose is actually super simple. It makes your code way more flexible, way more modular, and a whole lot easier to test. You know what? Here's the best way to think about it. Imagine your app is a big castle made of Legos. Dependency injection is what lets you pull out a red brick from the wall and just snap a blue one in its place without the entire castle crumbling down. It's all about making your code less rigid and way more adaptable when things inevitably change. Okay, let's be real. Modern apps don't live on some dusty old machine in a server closet anymore. They live in the cloud. They need to be dynamic and scalable. So let's look at how ASP.NET Core was literally engineered for this new world. This right here, this is the modern playbook for deployment. And ASP.NET Core was designed to slot into it perfectly. It's really lightweight, so it's easy to package up into containers using something like Docker. And then you can use tools like Kubernetes to manage and scale it out. It's just built for this kind of workflow. And this is the one thing you have to remember if you're building for the future. Being cloud-ready wasn't some feature they just bolted on at the end. No way. It was a core design principle from the very beginning. That's what makes it such a natural, perfect fit for things like microservices and modern cloud architecture. So what does this all add up to? When you put all these pieces together, what do you get? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture of why this tech isn't just cool, but why it's so incredibly relevant right now. This is a really big deal. Being open source means all the development doesn't happen behind some corporation's closed doors. It has this huge, vibrant community of developers from all over the planet who are finding bugs, suggesting features, and just keeping it on the cutting edge. It evolves faster and more transparently because of them. So let's wrap this all up. What is ASP.NET Core? It's your complete toolkit for being a modern developer. You get a high-performance engine that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. You get the freedom to develop and deploy wherever you want. You get a clean, modular codebase that's a joy to work with. It's designed for the cloud from day one, and it's all powered by the innovation of a worldwide community. It's the whole package. And really, that's the final question I want to leave you with. When you look at everything it offers, the speed, the freedom, the modern architecture, the community support, you kind of have to ask yourself, are we looking at the blueprint for what web development is going to be for years to come?